So you want to run business lead generation events. My name is David Newton, and I'm going to be talking today about how and what type of events are and what they're suitable for generating leads for your business. And ultimately, behind generating leads is generating the sales. So smash that like button and let's get into it. Firstly, by running events, you actually create a visibility for your small business or your company or whatever you're doing. That kind of visibility does carry a bit of street cred for your business. And I'm not talking here about just running some events or something or other outside your shop or your business or your office. I'm talking here about bookable types of events. Now, we're going to start off first with what's going to be one of the most popular types of events that you're going to run. And that is preview seminars. Seminars are probably one of the greatest ways how you can actually generate leads. And by this I mean there's a multi-part way of looking at seminars. You've got the actual preview seminar itself. You've got events there that you can propose to your database and say, hey, this is what we're going to run in the future, please book for this. And it's a way of being able to, say, take a temperature check on where your database is actually at. If they actually book for an event, such as a seminar, you know that they're keen on learning more about your material and what your business can actually do for them. And there is probably a few different things here that you need to realise here with running a seminar. One, it's when you run the seminar on the day or on the night, and it may be, say, a 1 or 2 hour event, something like that, you're going to be able to ask for or have a call to action at the end of that seminar or during that seminar and say, okay, we've shown you here, here's how the problem gets solved, here's how we look at this particular problem. If you go to the back of the room, we've got some people standing by there ready to take your order or take a booking right now. You can actually move ahead and do something and blah, blah, blah. Move ahead from it right then and there. That's the beauty of a seminar. Now, one of the things that I find is quite interesting with running seminars is people go into it with a particular expectation and they say, well, okay, we're going to close this much out of it, and their goal is to fill up the room with as many prospects as they can. So I believe it's probably important to, yes, fill up the room and to make it look successful, probably for that visual metric that, hey, wow, I'm popular, that type of thing. That's why you want to fill up the room. Everybody gets the feeling that maybe if all these other people are here, we're all here about the same problem, we're all here about the same issue. And yes, that can be very true. But I believe that it's better worked out if you've got some very specific goals or targets that you're aiming for as to, A, what's your closing rate aim that you're aiming from that seminar, what's your attendance aim, and also what the quality makeup is of the prospects that are attending your event, and how do you define what those quality metrics are or the quality standout details are of the prospects that are attending. So that's one of the most important things that are vital for running a preview seminar. And by running a preview seminar, you're going to attract all kinds of people that are in various different parts or frames of your ideal prospect. So it's important there, once you do this once or twice, you will then be able to have a better understanding of it, and I will go into this in future videos in the future. The next type of event that you need to look at running is cocktail party networking events. Now, I'm proposing the idea as for a lead generation, obviously, is that cocktail party networking events work really, really well. Now, I'm making the assumption that you've probably yourself gone along to lots of other people's networking functions, other people's events, other people's clubs and associations. And you might have walked away with 2 or 3, 5 business cards, if you're lucky, contacts that you've made on the night, and thought to yourself, oh, that wasn't so bad. I felt that my $20 or $50 was well spent. But I wanted to ask you one particular thing. What if you turned the tables right round and you were the one who was actually running those cocktail party events yourself? How many more leads will you get from the mere 3 or 5 that you're getting now to maybe say a whole 100 or 200 from running one evening? Have you ever thought about it that way? Well, if you look in the links in the column below, in the description below, you'll be able to see links to my own events course on how to run your own cocktail networking party events, and you'll be able to see how this can be expanded upon a lot further. So I encourage you to look at the links below and see what I have to say further about this particular topic. But suffice to say that if you run your own events, your own cocktail party events, much the same as that of, say, running a seminar, you will have a wholesale number of people attending there and a quite wider range of prospects that you'll be able to call on after the event or even before the event. The obvious question I've found with running cocktail party events is, oh, by the way, David, this is a great event that you're running, or this was a great event that I attended that you run. What do you do, by the way? And there's your opportunity there to make your pitch. You have a tremendous amount of opportunity there by running cocktail networking events. People view you as the leader. People view you as the esteemed person above the pack, and they're willing to contribute something back to you, and that's to give you their time of day to listen to what you have to say. So look at it from a different concept. Yes, I know organising an event can be a pain. It can be a real bother. But let me tell you, it's worth it. It's actually worth it. And when you look at it from a time-based perspective, imagine attending a whole year's worth of other people's parties, or running, say, 2, 3 or 4 of your own parties, and then walking away with, say, 400 or 500 prospects versus that of walking away with maybe 40 prospects attending everybody else's events throughout the year. Big difference. My third one to look at, and this is probably not quite so obvious, but it can work really, really well if it's done in an intelligent and well-considered and well-thought-out way. And that is consider running luncheons. Luncheons, yes, I know, the luncheons, the type of thing that business people love to go along to a restaurant and enjoy themselves while they're looking out at the lovely harbourside views, and they're down there at Circular Quay, and you're at a really fancy 5-star type of restaurant with lovely views and a 2 or maybe 3 course if you're going for it meal, and a lot of conversation with people that you wouldn't otherwise get to network with. People love these types of events. But I'm proposing to you, imagine if you were the one running a luncheon. Imagine if in your local suburb or something like that, that you pitched to the business people in your area to show up. Look, it doesn't have to be a harbourside function area to run an event, although that would be a nice bonus if you did. It can be something as simple as going to the function room of maybe, say, your local Chinese or Italian restaurant in your local suburb and saying, hey, I want to book that room that you've got upstairs for my group. And you might say, hey, I've got 10 or maybe I have 15 people coming along. And you invite your prospects along and shout them a lunch. And then make your pitch during that lunch break. For one, if you're paying for the meal, they're likely to give you the time of day. Number 2, you'll be able to pitch and show what you can do or your wares for them or what your service does in a far more concentrated way. Imagine that of saying, hey, you've got all those people there for lunch, and you throw on your data projector and say, here folks, here's what I can do for your type of business. Now, Miss Jones over here, this is what we do for your type of business, and Mr. Brown over there, this is what we do for your business. Mr. Green up the back, yes, we do this for your type of business. You can explain a whole lot of things there that would be very difficult to do in a Zoom meeting, of course, admittedly, and also in a far more relaxed and probably no doubt silent way of doing it than maybe say that of a big pitch seminar. So it is another way of looking at your prospects in a completely and utterly different way. I know this might sound a bit crazy to you to do something like that, but I would say take a step back for a moment and just think, how much trouble is it already for you to pitch to those prospects? Do you have to drive all the way across town? And then when you get there, they say, oh, look, you've made an appointment with Mr. Jones and he only gives you, or she only gives you, half an hour because they've got to tear off to some other distraction. If you get them to come to you, if you get them to visit you, they've got some time and skin invested in the game. They actually have to listen to it. They believe that this is something special. So you've got to look at it from that point of view. What can you do that's different, and how can you pitch this differently so that you get their attention? And that's why I believe a luncheon, or something like a luncheon, is an extremely good way to get that undivided attention amongst a small select group of people, and use that as your launching ground for making your particular pitch. There's a few things you need to keep in mind when running a face-to-face type of event, especially around lead generation and sales itself. Usually a particular pre-faced type of event will obviously lead to sales, although it may not lead to sales at that particular meeting. But one of the things you need to bear in mind, and that is the whole reason why people are coming along there, and the whole reason why you need to run this particular event, is you need to create a personal connection with the individuals that have shown up at that group. You're not going to create that individual connection if, when they come up and line up afterwards to shake your hand, and you appear to be diffident and distant and acting like you're some kind of a pop star. You're not a pop star. You're there to make a connection between what it is that you do for a living, or what it is that your business or company provides, and to provide that connection to the person over here so that there's a connection between the two of you. And that is an emotional connection. There has to be some kind of emotional connection between you and that other person, because if they're going to spend a few hundred or maybe a few thousand or even a few hundreds of thousands of dollars on your product or service, you better be sure that they're going to want to make some kind of a connection. For a lot of people, that's the trust factor. That's why they are there. They're looking for that last little piece of the jigsaw puzzle where they can say, yeah, look, I like Mr. Jones who runs that company, ABC company or whatever. They say, I like him. I went to his seminar and I shook his hand and we spoke for a minute. It was the part that I liked about it so much that helped me make the decision to buy. So consider the personal connection. The other thing is too, it is the visibility factor of running an event. And this has also a tail end effect in the fact that you're wanting to go to all of the energy, all of the effort of staging a face-to-face event, which, by the way, those people showing up know that you've gone to a lot of trouble to do that, because for the most part, 80% of them probably wouldn't do it themselves. So they understand there's a level of commitment behind that. Goodness knows I know. I've been at expos or, like 4-day weekend type of events like Mind, Body, Spirit and so forth, or other different types of shows where you have to show up and you have to show up day after day after day. And when people come up and speak to you and then you talk to them a week or two later, by golly, they understand the commitment that's involved in standing there all day for nothing, virtually. It's a lot of work. The same is true with turning up to a seminar, a luncheon, or a cocktail party event. If you're staging an event, the people that have come along know the amount of commitment to it. But the same also goes, and this is probably one of the other things you need to bear in mind, there's a shadow number of people out there who can't make it to those events. They want to be there, they might have some other commitment, they might have been sick on the day, there could be a myriad of different reasons why they can't make it along. And that contingency of people, which might be out of, say, 100 people booking for your event, there might be 20 to 25% who, for one reason or another, can't make it along the day, even though they've booked, right? So consider giving them a phone call. Consider giving them some kind of a consolation effort to, if they can't be there, that you can run some other type of similar event, maybe whilst they're still there, a Zoom event or a recording of the event. After all, they paid to be there. These are the different things that you can do, once again, to build that connection. Because those people put their hand up and said, hey, look at me, I want to actually go to your event. Now, if they went to the trouble of booking and putting in all their details in the computer and stuff like that, and went into your database, but they still couldn't make a showing of the event, don't hold it against them, right? Go back to them and say, hey, look, I realise you couldn't make it along to this. Maybe you could make it along to that. We'll carry forward a credit for you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, look, they put up their hand for it. So it's worthwhile going a little bit of an extra mile for them, okay? And then once you do, you'll be surprised. This will be the universe rewarding you back. And some of them will say, hey, look, if she or she went to that trouble to offer me this or this, hey, look, I know they were talking about XYZ new product that they were launching, but look, I'll buy it anyway, because they can see that it's worthwhile taking a bit of a faith step in you because you took a faith step in them. And that's where the connection lies. Make sure it's personal based. Make sure you make a connection. Go that little extra mile. This is what makes the difference between those who succeed really, really well at their business versus those who just see things in black and white matters and a few KPI points. KPI points alone won't run your business. Personal connections do. And that's where you need to go. Okay, if you like this particular content, and I'm sure hope that you do, please click on the subscribe button here. And also, please look at some of the content here that I've got in these actual end cards here, which are to my other videos, which are some very exciting content that can help boost your business.